So the white of the eye is our sclera. So we would ask number 7, sclera. We have our external extrinsic muscle.
That was number 4.
1, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Okay, this is the ligament, the white. So number 5 would be like ligament.
Okay.
Okay. And then this is the cornea. Number 8, cornea.
Yeah, like with the number, that's good.
Okay, number 10 here is the iris.
Alright.
That's the color of the eye. This is our choroid. So, number 9,
Okay.
We could say number 9 is our choroid. We know this is our pigmented layer. You can see
By
all the blood
choroid,
vessels.
this whole thing or this?
This
line
whole
entire-
thing.
Okay.
The purple. And it's, and they give it a purple color because it's pigmented. It has all the blood vessels and stuff. So this side here is, we could say number 20, or we could point to it'd be like number 14, and here would be our optic nerve.
Optic nerve, okay. So 20 is still considered optic nerve even though it's on the purple?
Yeah. But we wouldn't ask, we would ask, like, what's number 14?
Okay.
We would make it distinct. So. This whole thing, like number 23, 22, 11, I'm not sure what that number is. I don't think it's a 1. So this whole thing would be our retina.
Okay, so no matter what number it is, it's all the same thing?
Yeah, retina.
Okay.
That's where all the photoreceptors are going to be. This right here, the white, that's called our optic disc.
Okay.
And we call it the optic disc, and it's white because there's no photoreceptors there.
Okay.
So if any light was to be focused on this part of the eye, you wouldn't see. Like, kind of think of this region as your blind spot when you're driving.
Okay.
So this right here, the little darker circle, that's going to be the macula lutea.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle is going to be the fovea centralis. And that's going to be where the highest visual acuity will be. So right now, I'm focusing on this fovea centralis. The reason why I can focus so well, and I know that this is the dot, is because the light is focusing on this right now in my eye. And it's the same if I was to focus on the tympanic membrane right now. I can see the tympanic membrane so well because it's focusing on this spot right now in my eye. And this one, I can see it, and I can see this on the back, but I see this the best because it's on this spot.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this whole thing, number 12, with our posterior segment. Our segment is filled with our vitreous humor. That's why they put it as clear. We are given our vitreous humor before we're even born, and it stays constant for the rest of our lives.
Okay.
So if we were born with a problem with our vitreous humor, our posterior segment, we would have eye problems for the rest of our lives. Okay, this part right here is our lens. Okay. The white here is going to be the suspensory ligaments.
Mm-hmm.
And these are held in place by the ciliary body.
Which is the brown?
Yeah. And that's also, and it's brownish, purplish, whatever. It's part of the choroid layer as well. So that's what holds the suspensory ligaments. And then the suspensory ligaments hold the lens in place. And that. So, and on the outside, you can kind of see with this, it's just like a continuation of the retina.
Right.
Okay? So if I was to put this back together, I can see the anterior segment. Our anterior segment is going to be from the cornea to our lens.
Okay.
And that whole segment is going to be filled with aqueous humor. We can also divide our anterior segment into our anterior chamber and posterior chamber. So the anterior chamber is going to be from the cornea to the iris, and it's the anterior chamber of the anterior segment. So if you were to ask that, make sure you put the whole thing so there's no confusion.
Okay.
Because there's a difference between an anterior chamber and an anterior segment.
Okay. Chamber has 2 segments as well?
So we have a posterior segment, and then we have an anterior segment. So our anterior segment is broken down into the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber. So anterior chamber from our cornea to the iris, and the posterior segment is from the iris to the lens. Okay. So the posterior segment is a lot smaller. It's just like the space in between. Okay. So both segments are going to be filled with the aqueous humor. Okay. So both chambers, I'm sorry. So you'll need to know the difference between the posterior chamber and the posterior segment and the anterior segment. So anterior segment is filled with the aqueous humor, posterior segment is filled with that vitreous humor.
Okay.
Anterior segment is broken down into the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber of the anterior segment, filled with aqueous humor.
Is the posterior segment broken down, or is it
No, just the posterior segment.
What did you say? Vestibular? What fluid is it?
Vitreous humor.
Okay, vitreous humor. Okay.
So the aqueous humor, the one in our anterior segment, is going to be replenished constantly.
Okay.
So if there was a let's say there's a too much pressure in your eye, that's why you get a glaucoma. That's what they call it. The reason for the glaucoma is, due to the aqueous humor. It's too much pressure.
Okay.
So.
Sweet.